So today we're going to be talking about building your own audience and how to create a predictive revenue channel for your own business. So the premise of this session today is that your social media audience is not an owned audience. Your social media audience is built on rented land. You're one algorithm change away from losing what you've built. If your business is relying on the sugar hit of paid media, then it's all well and good while you're investing in paid media, but when those customers come through the door, the biggest bridge that we see is between purchase 1 and 2. And if you're not building your CRM and you're not building up your email marketing, you're going to lose those customers and you're going to have to continually invest large amounts in paid media to bring those customers back through the door. So we're going to be talking about email as the only channel, email and SMS, that you can actually own and what that can do for your business. The future of your business is built on your customer relationship management system or your CRM. So I'm Beck, so I'm going to talk a little bit about why I'm here and why you might find what I have to say interesting. So I think I sit in an interesting position where I've been in two very distinct places. I've been a senior global marketing manager for Adidas in Australia and also internationally in their global headquarters in Germany. And there I've worked in their global influencer and entertainment marketing team. So I've seen how it works at the very pointy end of the scale, and I've been in a very big brand and seen how they bring customers back through the door again and again when they have enormous budgets. A lot of money going in there. And then I've also started, grown and sold my own e-commerce business, which was an arts and crafts supplies business. In the picture there you can see my husband, Bree, who's unloading our first 40-foot shipping container. I went back through my photos before this presentation and there was no picture of me because I didn't stop. What you'll see is that he's sitting, not unloading the container. But the point of this is, like, I've been where you are and I've started a brand and a business, and a lot of you will be business owners or working in a business that has like smaller budgets, and in that case you really need to make sure that your customers are coming back through the door. So I've been at the pointy end of the scale and I've been sweaty and unloading my own shipping container, so I know how both of those things feel and what helps you to drive marketing in both of those cases. Now I am an e-commerce strategist and I work with the wonderful team at Keogh, whose booth is just over there. And I see some of our members are here today, so lovely to see some of you. And we are the fastest growing e-commerce a group for women in business. And I do some of our coaching. So a lot of the ladies that are here today, like Lisa and Gabby, they own the company. If you join Keogh, I'm one of our coaches. So I run regular coaching sessions and workshops with our community, and I do one-on-one coaching with some of our bigger retailers. So that's what I'm doing here today. So today we're going to cover talking about why your social media is rented land. You are acquiring customers into a system that you don't own. So it's very difficult to manage those customers and to make sure that they're coming back through your door, because you have to either keep paying to acquire them or you have to keep generating content that keeps them engaged and keeping them coming back through the door. Far and away in 2026, I truly believe that your strongest asset is your email marketing. So your strongest asset is your CRM tool. You actually own the customer's email address, their phone number, you own their data, and that means that you can bring them back time and time again. And we're going to talk a bit about how to do that today. We're going to talk about the handshake. So what happens when a customer first signs up with your business or brand? How does that interaction turn them from a follower into a customer? And what's the value exchange that's created there? We're going to talk about the revenue engine. So I've created a bit of a toolkit today. If there's one slide that you take a picture of, it'll be that one. I'll tell you when it's coming up. And that has all of the foundational flows that you need in your business, all of the advanced flows that you need, and then where to layer in SMS. And we're going to talk about the human connection, because at the end of the day, when it comes to marketing and digital marketing in particular, there's a lot of conversation around like pixels, but sometimes we lose track of the fact that we're actually speaking to people. So what we really want to do is build a system that can build that human connection and speak to people in a way that they want to be spoken to, but at scale, because we can't email them again and again one-on-one. So that's what we're going to talk about. When you own your audience, you're going to own your future. So throughout this presentation, I've got a few misconceptions or commonalities that I often hear in email marketing. The first one is 10% off. Please raise your hand if you have a brand or a business that is offering 10% off for the first sign up. Yeah, A lot of people. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's very common. And sometimes this can create a bit of a chicken and egg situation where you're offering a customer a discount on their first purchase. And so the primary customer that you're attracting is a customer who's looking for a discount on their first purchase. And this isn't necessarily the type of customer that we want to build into our CRM system. So think of your sign up like a handshake. What is the value that you're trying to exchange with the customer? And what can you offer the customer to start to build the type of relationship that you really want to build with them? The 10% off is a very common strategy, but it's also an old strategy. So you can start to evolve and start to test some things that are different to do better than some of your competitors in 2026. So think of this like an ethical bribery situation. What can you give the customer that they want that means that they'll happily give you their data and their email address? Think about things like quizzes, gifts on their first purchase, something that looks like a discount but doesn't necessarily drive a discount-driven customer, like a dollar value on their first purchase. If you have a product that has a very high order value, sometimes a dollar voucher on their first purchase can look very compelling and is actually much better for your business than a percentage off, because it works out to be a lot less that you're giving the customer, even though for them it looks like quite a bit. So treat the opt-in like it's a first date, not a cold call. So this customer's already there, you're trying to get their email address, what are you going to give them to give it back? So this is your handshake. Consider what that looks like for your business now that's not necessarily just 10% off their first purchase. So we want to move this customer after the handshake away from a follower into a long-term customer. So first they follow you on Instagram, they like your posts, but they're not yours yet. They don't belong to you. This can change with a very well-designed opt-in. Then in step 2, you want them to become a subscriber. So this is where you've got that value exchange. What are you going to give them to get their email or their phone number in return? Make sure that it's generating and encouraging the type of customer that you want to have a relationship with as a business. And then they're a customer. So once they're yours, we first celebrate, and then we think about how we're going to engage them, keep them engaged, and keep them coming back through the door. So you can reach them now. You've got their email address, you've got their phone number. Now you want to try and get them the right message at the right time to help them continue to build that relationship with you. So the second misconception that I often hear is, I'll set up email flows later. Who here has an email management system where they have flows that they haven't checked for a million years, or they're not sure if they have flows at all? Oh, very few people. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with you for being honest as well, because you're the only person that stuck your hand up, but I'm sure you're not the only person that feels that way, because flows can often be set and forget. Just to make sure that I'm being clear, in customer relationship marketing or email marketing, we have 2 distinct buckets of content. So we talk about campaign emails, which is anything that we send that's based on something that we decide as a brand or as a business. So this will be things like, we're launching a new product, we're running a competition, we've decided to go on sale. These are all things that you decide as a brand, and that's a campaign. Email flows are anything that is triggered based on the action that a customer takes. So the customer abandons their cart. It's the anniversary of their purchase, so they purchased. They told you their birthday. Any of these things trigger flows because it's an action from the customer. And the beautiful thing about email flows is that they work even when you sleep. So if all of your email revenue is coming from your campaigns and you don't have any email revenue coming from flows, you're missing the opportunity to make money while you're asleep. So make sure that you have those flows set up. Automated flows are your 24/7 care and sales team. This is the engine behind the brand. So this is how you can create personalization at scale. You only have to set up a flow once, and if you have your segmentation right and you have your customers right, that revenue will keep coming in again and again and again. And this is what we want. And why are they important? So you can get 3 times higher revenue from email flows versus one-off email campaigns. 35% is the amount of revenue that's generated from high-performing email marketing on average as a brand. I've seen brands that generate up to 80% of their revenue through email marketing, and brands that generate under 30% are definitely under-indexing in this area. So if that's you and you have less than 30%, you've got room to grow and you've got room to make more in this space. And then $0, sorry about the formatting. Usually I use Canva. This is PowerPoint, so that might explain it. But $0 is how much ad spend you have to continue continually invest to then bring that customer back once they're done. So the beautiful thing about your CRM system is that you can build this relationship with your customer, you can make them feel loved by you, you can make them feel delighted by you, you can make them not wait to come back and shop with you again without having to spend more because you own their email address or their phone number. So I don't want to just talk about theory. So what happens when this comes into practice? So our previous e-commerce business was a company called Paintplot. We sold arts and crafts supplies online. We sold this to a US company 2 years ago, and I have permission to share some of our customer data because I still work with the team. So every person that's on your list has a story. So everyone engages with your brand in a different way. Everybody got there a slightly different way. Everyone's got something different to say. So Klaviyo lets you see what this customer journey looks like. If you're using Klaviyo, you can go into your customer profile and you can see a list of all of the interactions that they've ever had with you, which is amazing. That data is what drives the personalization and what drives the real revenue. It helps you to build a relationship with that customer even when you're asleep. So there are really common things that you can do in email marketing and really standard things that you can do. Where the real magic happens after you have that is to think about your own brand, your own customers, and think about the key parts of their journey and say, what's important to my brand that I can do differently? I was just having a chat with someone who sells teas for breastfeeding, and she was talking about her customer life cycle and how it's such a short life cycle because the customer's actively engaged at that point in their life, and then she loses that customer. And she said, I do all this work on customer acquisition, and it's so sad that they don't come back. So what I would encourage her to do is to really focus on referrals post-purchase. So how can you get these customers that are now strong brand advocates, but you know that they have a short lifespan, to encourage your product to as many people as they could possibly can? How are you going to incentivize them when they're actively engaged to try and spread that out? And this is going to be what is super fun about digital marketing, and one of the reasons that I love it so much is it's slightly different for every brand. So think about your own brand and think about what magic you can build in those flows that makes that customer journey really special for any points that are unique for you. So please meet Robin. She's a Paintplot customer. She's shopped with us for 5 years. She's opened thousands of emails. I went back through, I just picked a customer that had a high lifetime order value and went back and had a look at what happened before I came to this presentation. So she has opened thousands of emails, and thankfully some of those emails were just right. So for Robin, she's placed 106 orders. She's spent over $6,000 with our brand over all time, and we fulfilled 103 orders. I was a little bit worried about that. Went back and checked Shopify. She'd cancelled a couple of orders because she wanted to change which products she wanted. So don't worry, we didn't leave Robin hanging 3 times. I was a bit worried about that. We almost lost Robin. So when I went back through her timeline, I saw that she hadn't shopped for quite some time. So we're about to lose this $6,000 customer. We've got thousands of customers, tens of thousands of customers probably. I haven't really looked at the number. We don't have time to go through these customers one by one and look at who are our valuable customers that we might lose. So we have to have email flows do that heavy lifting for us. And thankfully, we had our win-back flow set up, and it came and brought Robin back to us. So you can see that on the 29th of November, she was assigned a coupon. She got our customer win-back email. On the 29th, she opened it on the same day. She clicked the email, she viewed the collection, she started checkout, and then she purchased that day. So the win-back email got her at just the right time. We were able to win her back. And now, because we got her back, her predicted lifetime value continues to climb. So if you multiply this by thousands, even hundreds or dozens of customers in your business, you're creating a lot of value where you don't need paid advertising to bring them back. So now Robin's average purchase frequency is every 18 days. So she's actually buying from Paintplot more often than she ever has before. So we got her back. Her predicted lifetime value is now $6,893. So it's predicting that we're going to make another $900 out of our relationship with Robin, and she's going to buy that many more kits until we potentially lose her, and we hope that our win-back flow can pick her up again. But if we were trying to acquire customers who were going to spend $900 with us, that could cost us quite a lot in advertising, which is why you need these flows, hitting your customers at the right time to keep them coming back through the door. If you're a brand that has a pretty low returning customer rate, or you know that you have a big gap between purchase 1 and purchase 2, which is very common, your email flows have to work harder. They have to bring your customers back. So look at some of the emails that we're about to go through. So these are our flows. So this should be a real revenue engine for email marketing in your business. I'm happy to see some phones go up. Everyone, please take a picture of this slide, and then go back and check your email accounts or talk to your teams and find out if you have these emails set up in your system. So every e-commerce brand needs these flows that are on the screen. The first set of flows are your foundation. So they're the must-haves. So if you're just starting out or you're just starting up, start with those flows there. And then the second is where the serious revenue happens. So in the foundational flows, you've got your sign up and your welcome flow. So what does a customer receive from your brand when they first sign up before they've purchased for the first time? And this should be something that starts to build that relationship with your customer and tries to tip them into their first purchase. So what do you have at your disposal to do that? People love looks behind the scenes. People love founder-led content. People love things that are interesting that they can't get anywhere else. If you're using the basic templates, please get rid of them. Please write them like a human. Write them like you would want to be spoken to if you were learning about your brand for the very first time, and redo those welcome flows. Then you've got your abandoned cart flow. This is almost always the highest revenue attributed flow. It doesn't mean that it's the most important flow, because if you think about the customer psychology, if a customer has come to your website, they've put something in the cart and then they've left, maybe they were going to buy anyway. So it has the highest revenue. If you don't have it, you have to have one, but this one's a bit of a maintenance tool. So don't try to be too shiny or cute with your abandoned cart flow, just make sure that it's set up. Then you've got your post-purchase flow. This is where a lot of really great magic happens. If you think about your brand and think about your brand personality, the first place you really want to inject that is in your post-purchase flow. If you're funny, if your goal is to make people laugh, if you're sarcastic, if you're fun-loving, if you're bright and bubbly, please make sure that that post-purchase flow after purchase one is where you bring that brand personality across. Because most brands that acquire a new customer lose that customer between purchase one and purchase two. That's the most common drop-off point. If you can delight your customer after that first purchase using this post-purchase flow, they'll love you forever. If you can make them laugh, if you can make them feel special, if you can show them that you're people behind your brand, not just a faceless corporation. This was something that was very hard for Adidas to do because it's a giant global company, and that's why we use like athletes or celebrities or third-party endorsement to do it. In this room, most of us will work for brands that have real people behind them that we can showcase. And so building that relationship one-to-one with the customer works. For Paintplot, we just had a really funny welcome email about how excited the staff in our warehouse were when the order came through. And people loved it. We used to get emails about it all the time. So delight the customer after their first purchase. They'll love you forever. And then you've got your browse abandon, which similar to your abandoned cart is a real revenue driver and something that you have to have there. You don't have to be shiny or pretty about it. Just make sure that it's working and that it's there. And then you've got your advanced flows. So this is where you build that revenue up. So the first one is your VIP flow. Please don't treat your most important customers the same way that you treat everybody else. It's like walking up to your best friend in the street and introducing yourselves to them. They don't need you to introduce yourself to them. They already know who you are. They've already shopped with you before. What they want is to know that you recognize who they are, and then they want some kind of benefit out of it. And a benefit for a VIP customer does not need to be a discount. Please don't get that mistaken. A benefit for a VIP customer can be a look behind the scenes, early access to something, gifts with purchase, credits towards their next order, all kinds of things. But you basically want to show them first that you recognise who they are, and second, give them a benefit for it. Your VIP will be different for every brand. A common mistake that I see is that people don't make their VIP a big enough chunk of their list. So they're like, I've got a gold flow, I've got a VIP audience list, and then when we look at it, it's got 25 people in it. That's not working hard enough for your business. As a general rule of thumb, you want to treat your VIP audience as like the top 20%, so the top tier of your audience base. If that's around 20% of your addressable market, then that's likely to move the needle for you from a revenue point of view when you start to treat them differently. So that's how you want to treat your VIPs. Then you've got your replenishment flow. So for any consumable brands or FMCG, If you know roughly how long it takes for a customer to come back and shop with you again, then you can set up a replenishment flow. So replen flows, if anyone is subscribed to Mecca, they do this the best. Anytime you might nearly be out of a Mecca product, they're in your inbox asking you if you need another version of it. And this is something that we can do as retailers as well for each of our products. If you don't know roughly how long it takes a customer to come back and buy from you again, you can go into your Shopify analytics, and that's what your cohort analytics is for. So cohort analytics shows you for every new customer that shopped with you in a particular month, when did they come back and purchase from you again? And it gives you that as a percentage. So if you look at your cohort analysis in Shopify, you can see the percentage of people that come back in the first month, second month, third month after their first purchase. And that gives you a rough idea of how commonly they'll come back and shop with you again. So if you're just starting out with a replenishment flow and you're not sure where to start there. Usually it's somewhere between 30 and 120 days for most brands. Then you've got a win-back flow. So win-back flow is for people who have shopped with you before and you're scared that you're going to lose. So we're going to try and win them back. So what are you putting in that flow? So this is for customers who have shown purchasing behaviour before, like Robin, who then haven't shown purchasing behaviour within a time period that makes sense and that you think they're going to shop again. So if you know that customers come back and shop with you like every 60 days roughly or every 90 days, and you have a customer that hasn't come back in that period of time, you set up an email flow that goes out and tries to bring that customer back. And in that email, you want to show them that you recognise them, that you know what their previous purchasing behaviour was so that they feel like it's a personalised email and not a cold call. And then you want to give them some kind of benefit to try to get them to come back again. So that might be an offer on their next purchase. A common mistake that I see in win-back flows is not having any timeline associated with the offer that you're sending. So people will say, here's $30 off your next order over $150. It lasts forever. You need a win-back flow to drive urgency. You have to give that customer a reason to buy from you again, and then you have to give them a shot clock on when they have to make that purchase, because that urgency is what's going to propel them to buy now, not just think, oh, that's nice, well, next time I need that, I'm going to go back and use that $30, and then they get on with their life and they forget all about it. You want to give them a time period where that's going to expire and make sure you nudge them before the expiry to get them back again. And then the last one is the sunset flow. This is the flow that I find most people get a little bit afraid of or a little bit scared of, because you work so hard to acquire new customers and you work hard to build up your database and build up your CRM. And then this is the group of customers that haven't been engaging, haven't been doing anything for you. You're going to have one last ditch attempt to save that customer. And if they do not engage with you, then you're going to say goodbye. So it is exactly what it says. You're going to set the sun on your relationship with that particular customer and say goodbye and clean them off your list. And that feels scary to a lot of people. We're going to talk about why that is absolutely necessary. And then you want to layer in SMS. So there are very few brands where SMS revenue outpaces email revenue. Hype brands or sneaker brands might be an exception to this rule, but for the most part, email will do your heavy lifting in terms of building your relationship with your customer and building up your revenue, and then SMS is a reminder at very critical points in time. So SMS is best used when something is time sensitive, when it's very deliberate and when it's well targeted. SMS are also a lot more expensive than email. So where we are using SMS, we want to make sure that it's doing enough so that we're not overpaying and then it's under-delivering on the revenue that it's bringing back into the business. So you want to layer in SMS into your welcome flow, your cart recovery, your win-back nudge, your VIP, your if you have flash sales or any like last chance messaging is when you want to add that SMS layer. People will sometimes ask in some of our coaching calls, like, how much SMS should I be using? And there's not a perfect amount. It does depend on your brand. It depends on where your customer's at in their journey. But as a rough rule of thumb, if I was pushed to give an answer, I'd say like 3 emails to 1 SMS is probably a pretty healthy balance between those two platforms. Okay, so the third misconception or commonality is I send the same email to everyone. Does anyone do this? They send their emails out to their entire list. This is a date, yeah, a couple of people putting their hand up small. That's fine. Like this is something that's not uncommon. Like people do that. You can do better with your deliverability, with your revenue, with what you're getting out of your customer base by starting to segment. And when we talk about, so batch blasting your emails is the old way of doing it. When we talk about segmentation, we're talking about splitting your email lists into categories of people based on commonalities for those people. So how much have they spent? What colour shoe do they usually buy? Like anything that combines these people, we can then use to create segments of them and to target them differently. And the reality of this is that 760% more revenue comes from segmented campaigns versus batch and blast campaigns. People are 6 times more likely to purchase after a personalised communication, and 80% of customers are more likely to engage with personalised messaging than non-personalised messaging. So this is huge. So the relevance of the email is such an important part of the game now. 3 audience segments that you have to have are your subscribers who haven't purchased yet. So where you have subscribers who haven't been tipped into their first purchase, treat them differently to the rest of your email list. Make sure that they're getting a flow that is specific to them. If you have major campaigns coming up, try to create content that is relevant to them to try and tip them into that first purchase. Treat your first-time purchasers differently. Delight them after their first purchase, and they're much more likely to build a long-term relationship with you. So this is what we're talking about with the welcome flow. If you delight them, if you make them laugh, if you make them feel special, they will remember you. So try to make that point in the journey really count. And then your VIPs. Please treat your VIPs like a celebrity. Don't go up and introduce yourself to your best friend in the street. Make sure that they know that you already know that you have an existing relationship with them. So these are 3 segments that you need to have if you're just starting out with segmentation. Start with these first. And then number 4, which is all about cleaning your list. And this is not glamorous, but it is essential, and it's just becoming more and more important in email marketing. So the misconception is the more people I email, the better my sale will be, and this is totally untrue. It's not glamorous, but if we think about social media as rented land and CRM as the house and the foundations that you're building, then you must keep your house clean. So you have to start cutting out customers who are not engaging with you, who are not purchasing, who are not opening your emails. That's a real must in 2026, because what is happening is that people are still blasting emails out to everyone on their list, even when those people haven't engaged, and it's damaging your deliverability. And what that means is that the emails that you're sending aren't even getting in front of their intended end recipient. The email providers that provide inboxes for people like Gmail, like Yahoo, like BigPond, they're starting to block bad senders, or what they determine as bad senders. And the things that will tell those receiving servers that you're a bad sender is irrelevant content being sent out to mass audiences. So if you're blasting communications out to big audiences and they're not opening it, they're not clicking on it, they're not showing any engagement metrics, they're going to start blocking your emails from getting to even the people that do want to hear from you and do want to receive your emails. This is why you have to clean your lists. So make sure that you have sunset flows set up, make sure that you're creating segments of people who are unengaged, and make sure that you're suppressing those profiles. The other benefit of this is, you're paying for all of the profiles that are active in your email account. It used to be that you only had to pay for the amount of emails that you sent, and wasn't that a glorious time? But what the email providers realized, MailChimp's over at the top, not sure if anyone from MailChimp's here, but that they were paying to house all of this data and all of this information, and that's totally impractical over time. Like they can't do that. So they started charging instead for the amount of active profiles that you have within your database. So since you're paying for them, you need to make sure that they're doing something for you. And if you're not cleaning your lists out and you're not getting rid of any of those irrelevant or old profiles or customers that were actually bots that signed up or people that have never engaged with you, then you're going to lose your deliverability, your open rates will go down, your revenue per recipient will go down, it will tank your email system, and you may not even know that it's happening. So a clean list of 10K subscribers now outperforms a list of 50,000 unengaged subscribers. So if you've got 10,000 people that are really active, really engaged with your content, loving the personalization that you're sending them, that's going to outperform it. So your CRM is your long-term marketing engine. If you're investing in paid media and you're not investing in CRM, you're losing out on work that will be done while you sleep and revenue that you can make while you sleep. So please focus on this moving forward. and you're building an asset that will keep compounding for your business over time. So the investment that you're making in acquiring customers will keep serving you for years to come instead of giving you an initial sugar hit and then going back down. So 3 things that I'd love for everyone to do when they leave here today is to check that you have an abandoned cart flow that is live, to set up your welcome series with a real story. Please don't use the batch templates. Try to speak to your customer like a human and make a connection with them and show them why they might want to purchase from you. And then please run a list clean before your next campaign to make sure that your list is clean. That's it. Thank you, everyone.